Hello, everyone, and welcome to Really Old Movies. I'm your host, Harrison Scullin, and today's film review is on The Mummy's Curse from 1944. And let me get into the description of this film from Criticlist. After being buried in quicksand for the past 25 years, Karis is set free to roam the royal bayous of Louisiana, as is the soul of his beloved Princess Ananka, still housed in the body of Amina Mansouri, who seeks help and protection at a swamp draining project. All right, so now let's get into my thoughts on the plot. So, the plot, I gave it a 2 out of 5. I thought it was super boring, and it's very much the same ground that we covered in the previous film. This is a direct sequel to The Mummy's Ghost, although this one takes place 25 years after that, even though it looks exactly the same as the 1940s. It doesn't look any different than that. Um, yeah, it's kind of weird how that's the case. I gave the plot a 2 out of 5. I did not like it. And I think it's the issue I have with a lot of these movies in this series. I wish we had stayed in Egypt, or at the very least in like an Egypt museum or something like that. Because for some reason, this movie and the previous film were in a swamp, and it just doesn't make any sense to me why we'd want to do that. Because also, I think it was The Son of Dracula, also Lon Chaney Jr. That one also took place in a bayou, and it's just, what is it with Universal and bayous in the 1940s? I don't understand it, but yeah, I think the story's very boring, very bland. And that's why I gave it a 2 out of 5. Okay, let's move on to the acting. Okay, I also gave this a 2 out of 5. I thought it was very cheap and very bland. The movement and whatnot of Lon Chaney as Karis or Charis, however they say, I think it's Karis that they keep saying. I thought that was fine. The priest guy, rather, he's super boring, very flat. He's like, "We must get the taro leaves for Karis." It's super flat. Some of the townspeople are fun, like the guy pictured here. He's really fun. But all around, it's very poorly acted and very obviously a B movie. These are very, I would say, they're not very good actors, and that's why I gave it a 2 out of 5 for the acting. All right, let's move on to set design. You know what? I give it a 3 out of 5. I'll give credit where it's due. The costume of Karis looks really good. It's basically the same as the last one. Although, and I like the chamber as well and the outdoor scenes and whatnot. It looked very realistic, but I still think it's strange that it's set in like a bayou. And apparently it's in New England. I don't remember hearing that, but apparently it's in New England, which is strange because that area doesn't have swamps. Louisiana and those places do. I always thought it was in the South, but yeah. I thought the costumes were cool. The chamber looked kind of cool, and the sarcophagi and all that looked cool. Um, but it's just okay. It's not great. You know, it's very obviously they had a small budget. They couldn't go all out like in the first film. So that's why I gave it a 3 out of 5. Okay, as far as cinematography goes, I also gave this a 3. I thought the outdoor camera work and whatnot looked really good. A lot of the time looked like they were in either a real outdoor stage or in a real outdoor area. It looked really good. It's still strange that it's in a bayou, but nonetheless, it looked really good. Um, but I do give them crap for reusing a lot of the same footage from the first movie, the second movie. I'm pretty sure even some of the sequel ones too. It just feels like a rehash of the same stuff over and over and over again. Karis, he was a advisor who also liked Princess Ananka, and he stole some leaves and whatnot. I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of it. And I'll be fair too. I'm not a really big fan of this franchise in general. I do think this is the weakest of all the Universal Monster movies series. So there's that. But yeah, I thought it was pretty cheap that they used the same footage from other movies. Although the scenes that they did have in the bayou here looked really good nonetheless. So 3 out of 5. Okay. In regards to music, I thought it was bland and very boring. And oh, now I'm looking at this picture here. This might have been from The Mummy's ghost. And that's the critique I have. It's hard to tell them apart. I'm pretty sure this is from that film and not from The Mummy's Curse. But nevertheless, the music was just bland and boring. Nothing spectacular. Nothing that would stand out. And some scenes it didn't fit very well either. It was a little too, what do you say, like sing songy or whatever during some of the scenes. I didn't like it very much. 2 out of 5. Okay. So overall, my score is a 2.4 out of 5, which I'm rounding to a 2 out of 5, and that makes my criticalist percentage at 48%. Now let me break down my criticalist score. Graphic language, none. Violence, there's some mild fighting and talk of Carice being thrown and buried alive, and some characters, rise from the dead. It's very, very cheesy. It's not scary at all. Very cheesy, but nonetheless, some mild violence and talk of violence. Okay, as far as nudity, sexual content, none. Political bias, none. Family friendly, I would say very much so. Kids might be scared of the mummy, but I'm thinking like little kids. I don't think older, like middle school, high school. I think they would laugh more than anything. In regards to entertainment value, it's unfortunate that it's not so bad it's good. It's just really bland and boring, which is disappointing. So no, it's not entertaining at all. And so overall, would I recommend this movie? Not at all. I think this franchise is very disappointing and the worst of all the Universal Monster collection, this entire series. And I hate that it's a direct sequel to The Mummy's Ghost because it looks and feels exactly the same. It's very hard to distinguish them. And I hate the setting of it being in a bayou. That just doesn't make sense to me for a mummy movie. It should be in, Egypt, or at the very least at a museum with like Egyptology or whatnot. But yeah, so no, I do not recommend this movie. All right, well, those are my thoughts on The Mummy's Curse from 1944, and that concludes today's movie review.